Hey everybody, it's Lo and welcome back to my channel, Lo Without Limits. Today I'm going to be breaking down a bunch of different diets and what they all consist of. So if you want to see that, then just keep watching. Paleo, vegan, vegetarian, keto, intuitive eating, intermittent fasting, all these things. There are so many diets, diet terms, diet things just like out there. You go on social media, especially on my Instagram at Lo Without Limits. I follow so many different health and wellness, either YouTubers, lifestyle people, Mind Body Green, like Well and Good, all these people, and all they do is post all these different diet things and what diet's in, what's trendy, all these things. And it's so hard to keep track of all these different diets, and it's like, well, this one's the best, actually this one's the best, and I'm just like, how should I eat? What is best for me? So if you are in that same boat, I'm going to just quickly run through some of the biggest diet words that you hear out there, like vegan, paleo, keto, all those things. I'm gonna quickly go through them or break down what they are, and of course, do what works best for you. If you have any major health or fitness concerns, talk to a dietitian, a certified personal trainer, a nutritionist. I am none of those things as of now. I'm just giving you a quick definition of all of them and what they are. So really try it out for yourself, see what works best for you, and go from there. I'm not giving you any advice, but just take this as a quick lesson to use in your life. So the very first one that I'm going to go over is paleo. And the reason I choose this one first is because I consider myself paleo-ish, but I'm not strictly paleo, but because I don't eat any gluten, barely any dairy. Sometimes it sneaks in, okay? I try not to, but what you gonna do? It's hard out there. No soy, but I do still have some processed foods. I'm not perfect about it, but I like to say I'm paleo-ish. And what paleo is it means Paleolithic. So it's what our caveman ancestors would eat back in the day. So what would they have available is meats, fruits, vegetables, things like that. So paleo means no grains, no legumes, no beans, no dairy products, soy products, or vegetable oils, because those didn't exactly exist back in the caveman days. So that is where paleo stems from, is just like going back to our roots, our primal roots, and what they typically ate. So that is the paleo diet. The next one I'm going to jump into is vegetarian. So vegetarian is basically excluding meat, but there are, if you break it down, 4 different types of vegetarians. So there's semi-vegetarian, where they don't eat meat, but they will eat eggs and fish, which is very similar to a pescatarian diet. There's also lacto-ovo-vegetarian, where they do eat eggs and dairy, but don't eat fish, poultry, or meat. And then you can do just a lacto-vegetarian, where you only have dairy, but no eggs, meat, fish, or poultry, or just an ovo-vegetarian, which is yes to eggs, but no to dairy, meat, poultry, and fish. So you can break down the vegetarian diet even further, but the main thing is that there is no meat. So no red meat, no bacon, no beef, no steak, none of that is the basis of a vegetarian diet. Now going on to pescatarian, again, it's almost just another form of a vegetarian diet. So a pescatarian does not eat meat, but they will eat fish, and some will have like poultry and egg products, but for the most part, it means no poultry as well. That kind of falls under that meat category, but they do rely heavily on fish, and then they also rely on beans and legumes as their other source of protein. Okay, and now vegan. This one is a very touchy subject, so if I don't explain it super well, at vegans, don't come at me, please. I'm doing as best as I can, and it's just a quick informational video, but basically vegan means you're not eating anything that's derived from animals. So of course that means no eggs, meat, poultry, fish, dairy, and then, or gelatin or collagen. If it's a animal-based collagen, there is collagen out there that is, I believe, seaweed-based, like a marine collagen. So that is vegan. And it also means nothing that really is derived from animals, such as honey, because while you're not necessarily killing a bee to eat their honey. It is something that the bees are producing, that they're working hard to do to keep their hive maintained, and because it is disrupting a bee's normal way of living, that vegans typically do not eat honey as well. And so there's just vegan if you're doing it for health reasons and cutting it out, but then a lot of people also live a vegan lifestyle, which means nothing in their life comes from animals. So this means that their pillows, they make sure that they don't have feathers in it, it's just cotton, and their beauty products are vegan and cruelty free. All their cleaning products, anything in their home and their life is vegan and cruelty free. So even if something isn't made from animals, if it's tested on animals, if it has anything to do with animals really, they stay away from it. So of course that also means leather and just leather, I think. I don't know. But so you can be vegan for health reasons, and you can be vegan for environmental and just like conscientious reasons. So it also means living a vegan lifestyle. Typically, since vegans are cutting out any form of meat and any form of animal protein, they do rely heavily on soy-based proteins such as tofu and tempeh. So that does mean that their diet may include a little bit more soy. So if you have some issues with soy, or if you don't want to consume as much soy, vegans also rely on a lot of beans and legumes to get their protein sources in. And then you can even take that one step further and be raw vegan, which means that you are living a vegan diet, but you're also not cooking your foods. You can steam your foods and you can just eat them raw, and then that's also supposed to help with keeping the enzymes and the whole natural enzymes of food in your diet. So you can mix things, you can blend things, you can juice things, you can slightly steam things or soak things or sprout things, but you can't necessarily cook them. And if you are not vegan, but there's also just a raw diet. So typically it means plant-based, but not truly vegan. So if you do have dairy, then typically if you're living a raw lifestyle, but you are still consuming dairy, you make sure that that dairy wasn't pasteurized, because that is a form of applying heat to dairy to kill bacteria, I believe. So you can have a raw lifestyle and then just have non-pasteurized dairy if you're not vegan and doing that option. And now going the complete opposite. I feel like maybe I shouldn't follow this one up from the vegan, but anyway, complete opposite is the carnivore diet. So this typically isn't a lifelong thing. This is something that people will do for a few weeks or a month, and it's literally just meat. Like no grains, no legumes, no beans, no fruits, no veggies, just meat, which I don't understand how. I feel like my tummy would really hurt and I would just get really bored with everything, but some people can do it. I feel like it would also be a bit more expensive, and you wouldn't be getting a lot of different nutrients in, like since you're only having protein, but there are some health benefits for it. For all of these different diets, I will link down a few articles for each one just so you can see the health benefits and read into it a bit more, but there is also the carnivore diet. Another really popular diet that I feel like was popular a few decades ago and then kind of lost momentum and is now back and everybody's really talking about it is the Mediterranean diet. And this is really popular because it has been proven to expand your cognitive brain function and just expand your life. And it's really popular in like the blue zone areas where people tend to live past 100, and people believe that is because of what they are eating. So the Mediterranean diet is focused on grains, legumes, and not so much meat, but eating a lot of fish, especially really fatty fish, and a lot of olive oil, and just having their grains and not cooking anything or processing anything too much. But they do include dairy, beans, legumes, a lot of nuts, a lot of high fat foods, and just a lot of grains as well. And then people say that this also because in the Mediterranean, typically with a meal, they will have a glass of wine, and they believe that the antioxidants in that wine, well, people go back and forth on if wine with a meal is good or bad for you. People say that if it's part of a Mediterranean diet, then all as a whole, it does really work well together. And that's personally one of my favorites, I think, because it does allow you to have a lot of different foods, and it really puts the emphasis on olive oil and fatty fish and nuts, which are some of my all-time favorite things. Next up is keto, which is also a huge thing going around. I feel like it got super big last year in 2018, and in 2019 it's kind of like tapering off a bit, but there are some people that really rely on keto. Again, I personally don't think it's something that you could sustain for the rest of your life, but if you want to do it for a few months as a quick little boost to boost your metabolism, to get more ketones, to start burning fat and maybe lose a bit of weight, I definitely think it can help you. So keto is eating a super high fat and super low carb diet. It typically means 50 or less net grams of carbs. So net carb is when you take like your total carbs and subtract the fiber, and then that's whatever's left would be your net carbs for the day. So typically it does not go over 50, and I've also heard over 30 net grams of carbs. So keto, the reason people do keto is to get into ketosis, and ketosis is when you have a certain number of ketones in your blood that are present when your body starts burning fat for fuel. People say that this helps with your brain function and that it helps with your metabolism, and again can also help lose weight when done properly. And since there's no just like physical marker of when you reach these certain number of ketones to be in ketosis, there are different tests that you can do. I believe online you can buy a few tests and just like prick your finger to see your ketone levels, and ketone levels rise as your body burns fatty acids. They're kind of like what is produced. So that is how you can see when your body's in ketosis, meaning that it's burning fat for your fuel instead of any stored carbs. So you kind of train your body to burn fat, and then it just starts burning your body fat. And there are a lot of people out there who support high fat diets, but not necessarily keto. One person in particular who I'm a huge fan of is Max Lugavere. He does preach in his book and on his Instagram the benefits of a higher fat diet, but doesn't necessarily preach keto. So there are some people who do just like higher fat diets. There's a lot of benefits to eating higher fat, but not relying on always being low carb and always being in ketosis, because in the end, it might not be as good for you to be consistently in ketosis. So next is FODMAP, and FODMAP I wrote down because I can't remember off the top of my head what it means, but it means fermentable oligo, di and monosaccharides and polyols. So they are basically just short chain carbs that are resistant to digestion. So because they're resistant to digestion, they make it into the end of your colon, in your intestines, and your gut bacteria reacts with them. So with some people, if they have a lot of gas and bloating and just like stomach issues and gut issues, could go onto a low FODMAP diet to see if that helps at all. So sometimes it's not necessarily the entire FODMAP spectrum, but some parts of it do react poorly with your gut. So to test it out, people will kind of do a elimination diet or just go low FODMAP for a while to see if that was the cause of their tummy troubles. So low FODMAP foods are oranges, potatoes, walnuts, quinoa, and bok choy, and high FODMAP foods that you would cut out during a low FODMAP diet are garlic, onion, apples, legumes, and wheat. So all of these different foods fall into different parts of FODMAP, like some of them are just disaccharides, some of them are monosaccharides, and then just the different carb types. So you can cut out either sections at a time or do like all low FODMAP to see what may be the cause of your stomach issues such as gas or bloating. And then once you figure it out, then you can return to eating normally while taking out whatever is causing your issues. So for some, it may just be foods like garlic and onion, which I would never be able to cut those two things out, like ever. I love onion and garlic on everything. So FODMAPs forever. All right, another super trendy term that's going around is intermittent fasting. And I've also done this. I did it for a few weeks last year and I really enjoyed it. What intermittent fasting is eating within a specific time window. So people can do it daily, where on average they'll just eat for 8 hours during the day and then they fast for the other 16. So for example, it could be from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You get all your meals and all of your calories in, and your body is just fasting those other 16 hours. Of course, you can skew your 8-hour window or maybe even expand it a little more if you need to based on your lifestyle and what you're doing. If you get home and have dinner late, then maybe don't end your intermittent fasting at 6 p.m. if that's not going to work for you. Maybe just start it a little bit later so you can also end it a little bit later. So that is daily, or people do it weekly, so they can just eat normally Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday they do a 24-hour fast. So benefits of this are weight loss, lowering your insulin levels, and reducing inflammation. And it really helps because your body isn't spending all day digesting. If you eat something at like 7 a.m., something at noon, and then you're kind of eating until 8 p.m., a lot of your body's just going like up and down in digestion. Your ghrelin levels are everywhere, your hormones are kind of everywhere as you're digesting. So that gives your body a break for the 16 hours to like reset, digest, take a break, lower your inflammation. And I personally really enjoyed it. Right now I'm not intermittent fasting, but it is something that I really liked, and I was able to meal prep and take like a breakfast salad that I would have around 11:30 at work, and then pack my own lunch. So if you can meal prep and you can work that into your life, I personally really recommend it. But again, think about your lifestyle, what you're doing in your health and fitness goals before jumping into it. And with something like intermittent fasting, you can also combine it with one of the previous diets, such as keto or vegan or paleo. So you can make all of your meals one of those diet based and then fit it into whatever your eating window is. But it also should be a time where you still eat whole, healthy, natural foods, and you can meal prep and make yourself some really good foods, versus saying, well, I can eat between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. I'm gonna eat all the junk I can, eat all the cake, do whatever, because that's not going to help you out in the end, especially if you're trying to cram all those really unhealthy calories into that window. So still take that window and still eat really well in it, and like leave all the junk for like, you know, a little treat. Do like the 80-20 rule with that one. And last but not least, intuitive eating. This has been such a big word that's just like grown out of control, I feel, in the last few months. And it's just where you listen to your body and give it what it wants and when it wants it. So people like that really know their body and say like, well, I just intuitively eat. I know what my body wants. I know my hunger signals. I know when I'm actually hungry versus when I'm thirsty. When I am hungry, I know what foods I want and what will make me feel good. So I also feel like a lot of people on Instagram and YouTube are claiming to be intuitive eaters, which is hard because then they're also following specific diet plans. So for this, for example, I could never really claim to be an intuitive eater because I have cut out dairy, soy, and gluten from my life. If I was eating intuitively, I would be eating a lot of sourdough right now, like a lot of sourdough. But I know that'll make me feel like crap. So I cut it out. When I see sourdough, I smell it and I salivate, and an intuitive eater would be like, yeah, let me have a piece. And I can't do that. I would also be getting like a normal sandwich on regular bread and not eating the dry ass gluten-free bread that also cost me $3 more. So I personally can't say that I'm intuitively eating, but it is something that everybody should strive for. So intuitively eating, you can say you're an intuitive eater and be like, well, my body's craving McDonald's, and go and listen to it and go get McDonald's. Like, you can be an intuitive eater and still eat really poorly. Like, a lot of people are intuitive eaters, but they're making like bad health decisions because they don't understand their body cues and their body's not like trained to eat well. So for that one, it does take a bit of training, and it does take training of not eating intuitively in order to become an intuitive eater. So it's teaching your body the benefits of like healthy, good food, knowing what it wants, kind of training it to want those good things, tracking your calories, seeing what a meal is, measuring it out so you understand different portion sizes, and then from there eventually training your body to where you don't need to track, you don't need to look at portion sizes, you don't need to force yourself to eat something good. Your body just craves that, and it craves that at normal time. So that one does take a bit of practice, but it is something that people should strive for. And those are the main different diets and diet terms going around. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down what diet terms you've heard of or what diet things that you're doing in the comment section, and also let me know what you want to see more of on my channel. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe. I upload a new video every Wednesday. So until the next one, thanks for watching.